The sky above Earth was calm the day the alien ship arrived. It was a silver vessel, shaped like a stingray, and it landed gently in a wide field outside the capital city. People cheered, cameras flashed, and the world watched as the alien race, known as the Zorvan, stepped out. Tall, thin, with shimmering green skin and 4 eyes, the Zorvans were known across the galaxy for their science and curiosity. This was their first peaceful visit to Earth. They came not to conquer, but to learn. The Earth leaders welcomed them, speeches were made, gifts were exchanged, and on the 3rd day of the visit, the Zorvan commander made a polite request. "We wish to see your small life forms, the ones you call pets, the creatures you keep near your homes. We have heard they are cute." The humans smiled. The request was simple. So they took the Zorvans to the city zoo. The zoo was clean, colorful, and full of life. Birds sang, children laughed. The Zorvans walked slowly, their heads high, long fingers pressed against the glass of each animal enclosure. They saw monkeys swinging from trees. They saw flamingos standing on one leg. A tiny girl handed a baby goat some food, and the goat licked her hand. Commander Velnari of the Zorvans smiled wide. "This world is softer than we thought," he said. "Even your beasts are friendly." "Some are," said their human guide, Officer Carla, "but not all." The aliens didn't listen. They were too busy pointing at a small, furry animal, curled up in a corner of its cage. It had black and white fur, a short body, and sleepy eyes. "What is this?" Velnari asked. Carla looked at the sign. "That's a honey badger." Another alien, young and excited, leaned close to the glass. "It is adorable," he said, "so small, so harmless." "It's not harmless," Carla said quickly. "Step back, seriously." But it was too late. The young Zorvan tapped the glass. The honey badger opened one eye. It blinked, then stood up. Its small nose twitched. Slowly, it walked toward the glass. The Zorvans leaned in. The honey badger growled. "Oh, it speaks," one alien laughed. "Hello, tiny beast." Without warning, the honey badger charged. It slammed into the glass with full force. The impact made a loud thud. The Zorvans jumped back in shock. The glass cracked slightly. The alien stared in silence. That was aggressive behavior," Velnari said. Carla sighed. "Told you." The tour continued, but the mood had changed. They walked past other animals, koalas, swans, kangaroos. The Zorvans stared at each one differently now. Koalas looked sleepy, but they had sharp claws. Swans looked graceful, but they hissed like devils. Kangaroos, one boxed its handler with 2 quick punches before hopping away. Still, Velnari tried to laugh it off. Perhaps the badger was just hungry. Then they reached the next section, petting zoo. This part was for children. Calm animals like rabbits, lambs, and puppies roamed freely inside a fenced area. The Zorvan smiled again. "This is more like it," one said. "These are the true softlings." A small golden retriever puppy came bounding over to the group. Its tongue hung out, its tail wagged wildly. Velnari knelt down. "This one is truly joyful. What is its name?" "Marley," Carla replied. "He's harmless. Just a baby." Velnari reached out his long fingers. Marley sniffed them. Then Marley barked. Then Marley bit. Not hard, but enough to make Velnari shout and fall backward. Blood dripped from his finger. Not much, but enough to scare him. I thought it was soft," he cried. Carla rushed forward, gently pulling Marley away. "It was a love bite, a play nip. It means he likes you." The Zorvans didn't understand. One of them wrote something in his logbook. Earth animals display dual personalities, soft in appearance, violent in action. Back on the ship, Velnari held his hand in a bandage. He sat with a cup of healing, liquid, and stared at a screen showing pictures of Earth's animals. "They smile, then they bite," he whispered. "These creatures are liars." Behind him, a screen flickered with warnings. Caution, otter attacks. Warning, swan fury. Danger, squirrel incident. Velnari slowly turned to his assistant. I need a full report on every earth creature that looks cute. The assistant gulped. All of them? He nodded. All of them. And with that, the Zorvan's peaceful curiosity turned into deep suspicion. They had come for science. But they left the zoo with fear. The lights inside the alien ship Valuna were soft and sterile. Everything was clean. Everything was calm. Except for Commander Velnari's hand. It was wrapped in layers of white biogel, glowing slightly. He sat inside the ship's medbay, staring at the wound Marley the puppy had left behind. It wasn't deep, but it had bled. And worse, it had hurt. This is not logical, Velnari said, wincing. It was a small, fuzzy infant. Why does it have the jaw pressure of a predator? The ship's medical officer, Zeltor, scanned the injury. His long fingers tapped on a glowing screen. Jaw pressure consistent with early-stage hunter species. It was not trying to kill. That was play behavior. Velnari looked at him sharply. Play? Zeltor nodded. Yes. This is how Earth canines test limits and bond with others. It is how they greet allies. The commander frowned. They bite their friends? Zeltor turned the screen around. A video showed puppies playing, biting tails, ears, and even shoes. They consider this normal. Velnari sank back in his chair. These creatures are mad. Later that day, Zeltor called for a full cross-species safety report. All available data on Earth animals was gathered into one file. Report 1972XQ. Earth lifeforms, misleading appearances. It began with a warning. Note: many Earth creatures possess high levels of cuteness, but also hidden strength and aggression. This is not a safe planet for careless interaction. The first subject, the honey badger. The scan replayed the zoo footage from the day before. The moment it slammed into the glass. The crack. The sound of its growl. Zeltor's voice came through the audio log. Species, Mellivora capensis. Common. Name honey badger. Description fuzzy black and white fur, small in size, reality highly aggressive, immune to venom. Capable of fighting snakes, lions, and, now confirmed, aliens. Zeltor paused the video. We laughed at it, he whispered. Next came the koala. Cute, slow, appears sleepy, behavior, screams during mating season, claws like blades. Known to attack tourists. One video showed a man bleeding from his shoulder. He tried to cuddle it, the voiceover said. Velnari couldn't watch anymore, but the worst entry was the one labeled swans. Elegant, white, and graceful, until they attacked. This species has a known habit of chasing and beating humans with their wings. Protective, territorial, and deceptively strong. One clip showed a child running, crying, while a swan flapped after him like a flying demon. Velnari held his aching hand and muttered, Earth is a liar. Zeltor stepped into the room again. Commander, would you like something to ease the pain? No, Velnari said. Bring me something worse. Zeltor blinked. Worse? I want to see the full list. Every creature these humans call adorable. I want to know what other monsters wear soft coats. The next name on the list was the platypus. Velnari squinted at the image. What is this? Duck face, beaver body, poison in its legs. Poison? Zeltor nodded. Yes, the male can sting and cause hours of pain. Some humans say it feels like fire under the skin. Velnari stood up. That's enough. Cancel the pet exchange program. Cancel the cuddle diplomacy. But sir, Zeltor said carefully, the Galactic Council is still expecting a full cultural report. We cannot simply say, Earth animals are dangerous. We must be specific. Velnari rubbed his temples. Fine, then write this. He turned to the screen and dictated slowly. They have eyes like innocence, fur like clouds, but behind every wagging tail is a weapon. On Earth, the smaller the creature, the less you should trust it. They do not bark in warning, they smile before they bite. By the time the report was complete, Zeltor had sent copies to several alien science stations. One reply came back, immediately from a research ship near Saturn. We were planning to adopt a pair of chinchillas. Is this safe? Zeltor responded with one word. No. Back on Earth, Officer Carla was drinking coffee when she received a message from the alien ship. Diplomatic zoo visits are postponed until further notice. We will remain aboard our ship. Please do not send more puppies. Attached was a photo. Velnari had tried to hold a kitten, and it had scratched his neck and hidden in his robes. Carla laughed so hard she spilled her coffee. The aliens had come to study Earth's pets. They left the zoo with fear, bandages, and a new law among the stars. Do not trust the cute ones on Earth, they bite. The Zorvan ship Valuna hovered just above Earth, a silent shadow in the clouds. Inside, the alien crew was still recovering from what they now called the bite. Commander Velnari had ordered full distance from all Earth creatures. No more petting. Zoos, no more soft animals, no more cuddly lies. But Earth's governments weren't giving up so easily. The next day, a small human shuttle landed on their ship with a new peace offering. It was meant to rebuild trust and soften relations. That offering had 4 legs, floppy ears, and a tail that never stopped wagging. Velnari stared at the thing from across the landing bay. What is that? He asked slowly. Officer Carla, the human representative, smiled brightly. It's a puppy, a golden retriever. His name is Biscuit. Biscuit barked once, high and cheerful, and spun in a circle before trying to lick Velnari's boots. Velnari took a careful step back. It seems happy, he said suspiciously. Carla knelt beside the dog. He is. Puppies love meeting new people. They just want to play and make friends. He's harmless, I promise. Velnari didn't look convinced. For 2 hours, Biscuit remained inside the observation room, where scientists watched it behind glass. The dog sniffed around, wagged its tail, drank water, then fell asleep with its paws in the air. Look, one Zorvan whispered. It is resting like a newborn, so soft, so harmless. The aliens gathered around the glass wall again, a few, even smiling. Zorvans weren't used to soft things. Their home planet was sharp. Stone towers, cold winds, creatures made of bone and muscle. This puppy was the exact opposite. Small, warm, round. Eventually, Velnari agreed to step into the room with the creature. He wore a protective coat and gloves, just in case. Biscuit ran straight toward him, jumped and licked his hand. The entire ship held its breath. Velnari did not flinch. I am still alive, he said. The puppy barked, then dropped a small rubber ball at his feet. Velnari looked at Carla through the glass. What does it want? Playtime, she said with a grin. Just roll the ball. Velnari bent down, picked up the ball, and gently tossed it. Biscuit ran, skidded across the floor, caught the ball, and brought it back. Velnari's second-in-command, Keltesh, gasped. It retrieves, he whispered. It performs tasks. This could be useful. For the next 30 minutes, Biscuit became a celebrity. Zorvan crew lined up to take turns rolling the ball. Some even giggled. Laughter, a rare thing on the Valuna, filled the air. The humans were pleased. The mission seemed saved. Until Keltesh sat down on the floor and opened his arms. Come, Biscuit. I wish to try the human bonding ritual. Biscuit ran straight into his lap and began licking his face. Keltesh laughed. Then Biscuit suddenly nipped his ear. Keltesh yelped and fell over. I have been attacked. He crawled backward, holding his head. It bit me again. Velnari rushed in. Is it serious? Carla quickly entered too. No, that's just puppy play. It's how they show affection. It didn't mean harm. But the Zorvans were already retreating. One medic scanned Keltesh's ear. Minimal injury, but swelling will occur. He drew blood, Keltesh said. From joy. What kind of creature mixes love with violence? Back in the command chamber, Velnari sat in silence. He watched the puppy on the screen. Biscuit was now curled up in a blanket, peacefully chewing a sock. First, the badger, he whispered. Then the kitten. Now the joy beast bites ears. He turned to Carla, who waited quietly. Do all Earth creatures hide danger beneath smiles? She shrugged. Only the interesting ones. That night, Velnari made a new log entry. Galactic. Record. Zor 302. On Earth, even friendship is sharp. Do not let soft fur fool you. The most dangerous creatures wear kindness like a costume. They call it cute, but we call it war by wagging tail. He paused, then added, Still, it was kind of fun. The next visit on Earth's peace tour was carefully planned. No petting, no touching, no biting. The humans promised this visit would be completely safe. The destination? A high-security section of the city's largest zoo. No cuddly puppies, no surprise hugs. Just observation, Commander Velnari agreed, reluctantly. No more direct contact, he reminded his crew. From now on, we observe only. Through walls, through glass, from distance. They all nodded. No one wanted another bite. The next morning, the alien shuttle landed at the zoo. Human guards stood tall. Metal barriers and energy fields surrounded the path. A line of strong, transparent glass tunnels led visitors through. Different predator zones. The tour guide this time was a quiet, serious woman named Mira, a wildlife expert. Today's animals are Earth's top predators, she said. No touching, no sounds, stay close. Velnari's translator buzzed in his ear. Top predators, excellent. Let us witness what your world fears most. He said it with curiosity and a little excitement. They passed the first enclosure. Crocodiles. Long armored creatures floated in still water, eyes just above the surface. Cold-blooded hunters, Mira explained. They wait, then strike with over 3,000 pounds of jaw pressure. The Zorvans stared. Not one of the reptiles moved. They appear asleep, Keltesh whispered. Suddenly, one lunged at a nearby bird with explosive speed. The bird vanished in its jaws. They are not, Mira said calmly. The next glass tunnel curved toward the forest zone. Inside was a large enclosure with tall grass and trees. Something moved between the shadows. The tiger. A massive orange and black beast stepped into the sunlight. Its muscles rippled with every step. Its eyes glowed like molten gold. It walked slowly with perfect balance, tail swaying behind it like a rope made of muscle. Velnari froze. What is that? Mira didn't smile. That is a tiger, apex predator. It can leap over 10 feet high. It has retractable claws, fangs as long as your finger, and prefers to stalk prey before the kill. The tiger turned its head. It looked directly at the Zorvans, right at Velnari, and it didn't blink. For a long moment, there was silence in the glass tunnel. The tiger walked forward, slow and quiet, stopping just in front of the thick window. It was only inches from Velnari. The glass fogged slightly from its breath, then it let out a low growl. Not loud, not fast, a deep warning sound. You are being watched. You are meat. The translator inside Velnari's ear clicked, then whispered, Threat registered. Possible hunting behavior. Velnari didn't move, his body stiff, his hands cold. Can it break the glass, he asked. Mira replied calmly. It doesn't need to. Tigers don't waste energy. It's already memorizing how you move. The Zorvans backed away together. Keltesh whispered, It looked into me. Zeltor muttered, My ancestors never knew fear. Now I do. Mira led them to the final exhibit, an indoor space. Large screens showed footage of lions, bears, and wolves in action, hunting, fighting, surviving. Earth is not a kind planet, she said. Our strongest animals hide behind silence, behind beauty. They do not roar without purpose. They only roar when it's too late. Velnari watched, one screen showing a pack of wolves surrounding a massive elk. They didn't attack immediately. They stalked, they tested. Then all at once they struck with terrifying precision. He turned to Mira. "And humans live among these?" She nodded. "Some of us even tame them." Back on the alien ship that night, Velnari made a private log entry. Log Mar 42. The humans have surrounded themselves with monsters. Some run on land, some fly, some swim. All are powerful in ways we didn't see at first. But what is most terrifying is that the humans do not fear them. They study them. They keep them. Some call them friends. They smile at tigers. They swim with sharks. They live among wolves. He closed the log and looked at his reflection in the mirror. Maybe Earth's greatest weapon is that they never saw their monsters as threats. They saw them as companions. The ship wasn't supposed to crash, but Earth had storms, strange, violent storms that didn't always follow the rules. What started as a peaceful return flight turned into chaos within minutes. Lightning slammed into the Zorvan shuttle. The screens flickered. Systems failed. The pilot screamed in static-filled Zorvan language as the ship lost altitude and dropped through the clouds like a falling rock. Then, boom! The jungle swallowed the crash. Smoke rose through the trees. Inside, the shattered wreckage, Commander Velnari sat dazed, a thin line of green blood across his temple. The other three Zorvans, Keltesh, Zeltor, and Navix, were bruised but alive. "Status?" Velnari asked, coughing. Keltesh groaned. "Ship dead. No power. No signal." "Location?" "Unknown forest sector. No cities. No humans. No rescue." Zeltor peeked out the broken side hatch. "We are in the wilderness, Malone." Velnari stood shaky but focused. "Then we stay calm. We find shelter. We wait for extraction." But the jungle didn't wait for them. By nightfall, the air had changed. The heat was thick. The trees whispered. Shadows moved fast and silent. Unknown animal sounds echoed from every direction. Howls, clicks, rustles, screams. Not one Zorvan had slept. Navix tried to stay brave. "Surely the creatures here fear our presence." A distant roar answered him. Velnari whispered, "That didn't sound afraid." The next morning they tried to explore. They didn't get far. Within 10 minutes, a squirrel hissed and threw acorns at them from a tree. A snake fell from the canopy, landing on Keltesh's shoulder. A group of small deer saw them and charged. Not ran, charged. "They are attacking with their faces," Navix shouted as they dove for cover. "I thought deer were prey." Keltesh yelled, "They're earth deer," Velnari replied. "Nothing here follows the rules." By noon they found a river and hope, clean water, open space, less trees, fewer hiding places. They drank carefully, watching the surface. Then came the rustling. A line of gray-furred creatures appeared, short, snorting, with tusks. Boars. At first, the Zorvans stayed still. The boars sniffed the air. Then one charged. Zeltor screamed and dropped his scanner. Keltesh fired a pulse gun, missed. The boars attacked like a stampede. In seconds, the aliens were running for their lives, crashing through trees and bushes. They stopped only when they couldn't breathe anymore. Cuts, bruises, broken gear, pried in pieces. The jungle had no pity. "I was once the best scout in the Zorvan fleet," Navix muttered, picking leaves out of his hair. "Now we are being hunted by pigs," Zeltor whispered. Velnari stood silent, watching the trees. His voice came out low. "We are not the top species here, we're just another snack." As night returned, the fear grew heavier. They built a small fire using sparks from damaged gear. The light helped. A little. Then came the eyes. Dozens. Glowing. Between branches. Wolves? No. Too small. Too many. Screeches filled the air. Then, a raccoon dropped from above and landed on Zeltor's back, snarling. He spun in panic, trying to shake it off. "Get it off me! It's chewing my translator!" Velnari slapped it away with a broken branch. It hissed and ran into the dark. Another raccoon took its place. Then another. They weren't hunting for food. They were stealing gear. Within minutes, half their equipment was gone, dragged into the forest by little black-eyed thieves. Finally, Keltesh broke down. He sat near the fire, shaking. "We're going to die here. On a blue jungle planet where squirrels scream and deer fight and dogs kiss with teeth." "No," Velnari said quietly. "Someone will come." "Who? A Zorvan warship?" Velnari looked at the stars above the canopy. "Worse, a human." And then she came. Not with a gun, not with machines, but with dogs. A woman stepped out of the trees, tall, strong, a bow across her back, mud on her boots, a satchel full of tools and rope. Beside her walked two massive dogs, silent, alert, watching everything. The woman said nothing at first. She looked over the four exhausted aliens. Then she whistled once. The dogs sat. Velnari stared. Are they under your control?" She smirked. "We're friends." "You befriended jungle wolves?" "They're dogs. They like snacks." She tossed them a piece of dried meat. They caught it midair. Velnari stood up, shakily. "You're human?" She nodded. "Name's Riley, survival trainer. Saw your ship go down from my trail cam. Took me a day to get here." Navix muttered. "We are saved." Riley looked him up and down. "You will be, if you follow my rules. Rule 1, don't touch anything furry." Zeltor groaned. "We learned that the hard way." She led them back to her camp, deep in the forest, well hidden, perfectly built. Fire pit, water filter, tools, even a hammock made from vines. The aliens stared in silence. "Built this in 5 days," Riley said. "Earth's dangerous, but if you learn the rhythm, it starts to make sense." Velnari nodded slowly. "You live among the predators. You command them. You even sleep while they prowl." Riley smiled. "No one commands Earth. You just make allies." She tossed meat to her dogs, then to the trees. Something caught it. A hawk swooped down, grabbed it, and flew off. Zorvans dropped their jaws. "She feeds the sky hunters," Navix whispered. That night they sat by the fire. The stars were brighter here, the jungle quieter. The dogs curled up beside Riley. The aliens leaned close to the warmth. "We thought humans were the danger," Velnari said softly. "No," Riley replied. "We're just smart enough to make friends with the real ones." The fire crackled under the moonlight. The jungle, once loud and wild, now felt calm, because she was there. Her name was Riley, and the aliens had never seen a human like her. She didn't wear a uniform or medals. She didn't carry high-tech weapons or gadgets. Just a handmade bow, worn gloves, and eyes that missed nothing. And around her sat her pack. 2 massive dogs, a hawk that slept on a branch above, and even a possum curled near her fire like a cat. Commander Velnari watched from across the fire, quietly amazed. "You command them without force," he said. Riley tossed another chunk of meat into the trees. "I don't command. I earn trust." One of the dogs, a black-furred beast named Shadow, rested its head on her knee. She scratched behind its ears. It didn't move. The other, Brutus, kept his eyes on the darkness, ears twitching with every sound. Keltesh couldn't help himself. "They obey, without fear." "Fear breaks loyalty," Riley replied. "Respect builds it," Zeltor whispered. To Velnari, "She speaks like a tribal queen." Velnari nodded. "No, she speaks like a pack leader." The next day, Riley began helping the Zorvans recover. She patched wounds with herbs, repaired broken gear using vines and glue made from tree sap. She shared food, jerky, roots, and berries, and taught them how to walk the jungle without being eaten. "Step lightly, don't act like prey. Never turn your back to the trees," she instructed. They obeyed her without question. Even the dogs seemed to accept them. After watching closely for hours, later they followed Riley to a cliffside cave. From there, the forest stretched wide and green. A single whistle from her lips made the hawk circle above them. "His name's Talon," she said. "Watches from the sky. Warns me if something's coming." Navik shook his head. "One human, 3 animals. You track the sky, the land, and the night. You're like a living defense system." Riley grinned. "I didn't survive 10 years alone out here by being slow." That evening, as the stars returned, Riley lit her small campfire and handed Velnari a carved cup. "What is it?" he asked. "Pine tea. Helps with stress. Also keeps parasites out." Keltesh sniffed it and turned pale. "It smells like tree bark and regret." Riley laughed, but Velnari didn't laugh. He was thinking, deeply. "Riley," he said softly, "why do you live alone? You could live in the cities, among others of your kind." Her smile faded. "People tried to turn Earth into something safe, predictable. But Earth doesn't like cages. Out here, things are real." She looked into the fire. "Out here you survive by listening, by respecting what you can't control. The wild is dangerous, but it's honest." Zeltor blinked. "So you live among beasts? Because they lie less than humans?" She didn't answer. But the silence was enough. The next morning something changed. Talon screamed overhead. Riley froze. "Trouble." She looked at the Zorvans. "Hide. Now." Brutus and Shadow growled low. "Ready." From the trees, distant metal footsteps echoed, a soft hum, unnatural in the jungle. Velnari's eyes widened. "Human scouts?" "No," Riley whispered. "Galactic hunters." She pulled out a black flare stick and smashed it against a rock. Smoke rose. Time to move. They ran through the forest, following Riley's fast but silent steps. Talon circled above. The dogs kept to the sides, guarding the flanks. Zeltor panted. "Who are they?" "Corporate poachers," Riley answered. "They track powerful creatures for black market buyers. Someone told them you crashed here. They want tech or blood," Brutus growled. A buzzing sound came from ahead. "Drone," Riley hissed. "Get down!" She notched an arrow, fired. It shattered the drone's eye in one shot. "Keep moving." They reached a thick grove. Riley's backup hideout. Inside were traps made from vines, pits, and sharpened branches. "This place is wired. If they come in, they'll wish they hadn't," she said. Velnari stood, shaking. "You've faced these hunters before?" "Twice. I don't lose." The hawk returned, circling low. "They're near," she said. "But we're ready." Hours past the jungle stayed quiet, then, boom. A flash of blue light exploded in the trees. One of the traps triggered. Screams followed. Then silence. Shadow growled. Riley stood with her bow ready. "They're retreating." Zeltor exhaled. "They came hunting, and they got hunted." Velnari stared at her. "You didn't just save us. You defended your world." She shrugged. "It's not mine. I just live here." As dawn rose, the jungle glowed gold. Riley stood at the edge of her camp, dogs at her side, hawk above. The Zorvans, battered but alive, packed their gear. A rescue beacon blinked. It had finally synced with orbit. Help was coming, but none of them wanted to leave just yet. Velnari approached Riley. "You are not like other humans," she smiled. "Neither are you." He bowed, something rare among Zorvans. "You made us see Earth differently. Not a zoo, not a Deathworld. A place where monsters and people walk together and survive together." She looked at her pack, then back at him. "Earth doesn't want rulers. It wants allies." The rescue ship arrived 2 days later. A sleek silver vessel descended through the jungle clouds, light glowing from its underbelly. It stirred leaves and birds into the sky. The noise echoed for miles. The forest, once alive with wild sounds, suddenly fell silent. Commander Velnari stood beside Riley. watching as the Zorvan flag shimmered on the landing bay doors. She didn't speak. Neither did he. But they both knew. This was goodbye. As the other Zorvans gathered their packs, Riley handed Velnari a leather pouch. Herbs, in case your medics give you chemicals that make you see colors and fall downstairs. Velnari chuckled softly. I will keep it close. Shadow and Brutus sat behind her, tails still, watching the alien ship with suspicion. Talon circled overhead, letting out one last cry before gliding into the canopy. They know you're leaving, Riley said. He looked at them. These creatures who followed her like warriors followed a queen. They know more than we ever gave them credit for. Inside the ship, the crew buzzed around the returning officers. Scans, checkups, debriefs. Zeltor handed over a datapad of recordings. We observed Earth wildlife. Correction, Earth wildlife observed us. Keltesh limped slightly but smiled. I was chased by a squirrel and licked by a dog in the same day. That changes a man. Even Navix, the quietest, whispered, I used to dream of clean cities. Now I hear raccoons in my sleep. The Zorvan captain on board didn't understand. But he would. The ship lifted off at sunset. Riley watched it rise, arms crossed, dogs pressed against her sides. She didn't wave. She never waved. But her eyes followed the ship until it vanished into the stars. 2 weeks later, planet Zorva, Galactic Council Chamber. The room was cold, silent, and full of beings from across the galaxy. Zorvans, Siltech, scientists, Rilo diplomats. Even 2 humans sat in the audience section, curious and cautious. Velnari stepped forward to the center. His hand was healed. His uniform was clean. But something in his eyes had changed. He placed a small object on the council table, a chewed rubber ball. Murmurs spread across the room. Is this an Earth toy? Why is it bitten? What's the meaning of this? Velnari raised his voice. This is Biscuit's bite. He told them everything, about the zoo, the honey badger, the cute creatures with sharp teeth, about the puppy incident, the tiger's stare, the deer that charged. He showed footage of Riley, climbing trees, hunting, commanding predators without a single chain or cage. He described the raccoon raid, the jungle chase, the human woman, who made friends with things that would eat most species for lunch, and then he said something no one expected. Earth is not a death world, not just. It is a mirror. You approach it with fear, it bites. You walk in with respect, it follows you. He clicked the display remote. Images appeared behind him. A puppy playfully chewing a Zorvan boot. A hawk diving with perfect aim. Riley feeding a bear from a distance, no leash, no cage. The Rilo ambassador leaned forward. So, what do you propose, Commander? Velnari looked straight ahead. We reclassify Earth, not as a threat, not as a pet planet, but as a world of bonded strength. Their creatures don't obey because they're weak. They obey because humans don't try to control them. They partner with power. The council was silent. Then someone asked, and what about the bite? Velnari smiled, pulled up his sleeve, and showed the faint scar left by Biscuit. It didn't hurt, it taught. Months later, Galactic News Network broadcast top story. New intergalactic law. Earth animals no longer eligible for pet exchange program. Subheader. Reclassified as cooperative companions, not domesticated beasts. Scroll text. Zorvan Council confirms humans have formed emotional, strategic, and survival bonds with multiple apex species. New term created. Pack-class planet. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Riley sat by her fire. She whittled a small wooden carving of a four-eyed creature holding a rubber ball. Shadow napped beside her. Brutus kept watch. Talon circled high above. Suddenly, a soft beep echoed from the old radio device she kept buried under gear. She picked it up. A message blinked in. Zorvan text, and we told them. They listened. Your pack changed more than you know. V, she smiled. Took them long enough. Later, as the moon climbed the sky, a soft sound came from the forest. She didn't turn around. She just said, "You can come out." A small creature padded into the firelight. Furry, sharp teeth, big eyes, a honey badger cub. Riley tossed it a berry. It ate it, then curled near the fire just a few feet away. Shadow didn't growl. Brutus didn't move. Riley leaned back against a log and closed her eyes. "Earth's wild," she whispered, "but we live wild too." The wind passed through the trees. The jungle whispered, and the fire glowed on the scar above her wrist, a faded bite mark, the one that started everything. Title: The Bite That Changed Everything. Genre: HFY, Sci-Fi, Survival, Human Animal Aliens,